Hi all, welcome to the channel Cloud Knowledge. Today in this video we'll study about fail activity in ADF and Synapse analytics pipelines. Fail activity comes under the control flow list of activities in the Data Factory documentation by Microsoft. Here in the official documentation it is stated that you might occasionally want to throw an error in a pipeline intentionally, and for that purpose they have this fail activity in place. So in order to throw an error in the pipeline intentionally, fail activity is present. A lookup activity might return no matching data, or a custom activity might finish with an internal error. Whatever be the reason, okay, now you can use a fail activity in a pipeline and customize both its error message and error code. So in the fail activity, we can configure the error message as well as the error code. And here they have given how we can create a fail activity in UI, that is in the portal in the ADF. So we'll demonstrate this shortly. Here is the syntax, JSON syntax, where the name type is given and the type properties have error code and message. Okay. Then comes the type property, same as the syntax is having the code and message along with the name and type. Then understand the fail activity error code. The error code we can give using this situation description box which is given here. So let's go to the portal and quickly demonstrate the scenario which we'll cover in this video. Okay, so let's go to the portal. Here we are in the Azure portal, and let's go to the author tab and we'll create a new pipeline. Pipeline is named as fail activity demo 1, and here in the situation we'll not directly take the fail activity. We have to fail it considering some action which is happening before it. Okay, the activities which will lead to run fail activity is described here. So let's say there is an input folder. Okay, in the input folder we have a file. Okay, file1.csv, and we have the output folder. Okay, in the output folder we want to land this file only if this file exists in the input folder. Let's say this file arrives in this input folder every day, and using the get metadata activity and the exists argument from the get metadata activity will be checking the file presence in this folder. Okay, whether this file exists or not. If it exists, means the result from the get metadata activity will be exists either true or it will be false. So if it is true, then what happens, we'll use if condition activity. If condition activity, in the if condition activity for the true and the false case, if it is true means exists is true, then just perform the copy operation. Copy operation, copy it to the output folder. If it is false, then first we will have wait activity. So if we take wait activity here, the whole pipeline, this whole pipeline will succeed. But we don't want to make it successful. We want to fail this entire pipeline if this exists is false. Means if the file does not exist here, don't succeed this pipeline, instead fail this. So in the false case of the if condition activity, here we will add fail activity. Okay, let's go back here in the portal ADF and we'll take from the general tab get metadata activity first. Okay, in order to read in detail about get metadata activity, you could go through the official documentation or to the videos demonstrating get metadata activity. Okay, so in the general tab we'll leave the settings as is. We'll go to the settings tab, and for the input folder which I have described here for the CSV, we'll take the test input container. Okay, inside the test input folder we have another folder, class 10 folder, and we have a CSV present there. So we'll connect to this CSV. So let's connect to the data source, Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. It's CSV. We'll name this as fail input. Link service we already have to the storage Gen 2 account. We'll select that. We'll browse to the file path. It's test input folder. Inside the class 10th folder, this file class 10 students.csv. We'll click over that file. We'll select first row as header, import schema none, and we'll click OK. Okay, so the file is selected. After selecting the dataset, we could see the field list option appeared here. We'll click on plus new and select from the arguments drop down list exists. Okay, because we are going to check the existence of that file in that location. If you open this dataset, we have defined the test input folder, class 10th folder, and inside this file. Okay, so we are checking the existence of the file here. We'll go back to the pipeline and we will just try to debug this get metadata activity to see the output which is coming from the get metadata activity. So here in the output we can see it is running, it's in progress. Go to the output of the get metadata activity. We could see in maximizing it here, after maximizing we can see exists is true. Okay, so this value will help us in determining whether the file exists or not. So it exists at this folder location, that's why it has given us true output. If we remove this file from here, it will give us false. Okay, now we have to apply the condition check. Okay, if it exists, then copy. If it does not, then just don't perform any activity. So to perform the condition check, we have the if condition activity from the, and we'll take this from the iteration and conditionals if condition into the canvas. Then we'll connect the output from the get metadata activity to the if condition activity, and in the if condition activity we'll go to the activities tab here directly, and here we have to define the if condition activity expression that must evaluate to either true or false. So we'll open the expression, the dynamic content, and from the get metadata activity, that is the previous activity output, we'll take the result of this. So we'll take the result whether a file or folder exists or not. So we'll select this. So it will give us the get metadata activity. From that activity output, take the exists value, whether it is true or false. So the activity value is already in Boolean, okay, true or false. So we need not convert this, okay. If condition will not give any error because it's Boolean. So if it is true, then perform these activities, and if it is false, then this. So if the expression evaluates to true, then we have to perform copy, right, if the file exists. So we'll open the true activities. We are inside the if condition true activities, and we will take from the move and transform copy activity. Okay, and in the copy activity, we'll go to the source tab. In the source tab, we have to select the same data set. Okay, that is we want to copy this file which we have already connected, creating the source data set in the get metadata activity, and the data set name was fail input. So we'll select the same data set. We want to copy this to the sink, and the sink we will define now. So we'll land it into the same storage into account. CSV will select, and we'll write it as fail output. Link service we'll select. Then we'll browse to the file path. This time we want to land it into the test output folder. Let's say to the F3 folder. Okay, click OK. First row has header, import schema none, and click OK. Okay, so the sync dataset is selected. We'll open the sync dataset. We are inside test output folder inside the F3 folder. If we go to the storage into account, this is test output folder. We'll go to the F3, and here our file land. Okay, so this is done. We'll go back to the pipeline. Okay, so we are good to go. Let's go to the main pipeline, and we have the true condition defined, and in the false condition we have not mentioned anything, right? So let's try to validate this mapping and publish the changes. We'll try to debug the pipeline. Publishing completed. We'll debug the pipeline, as well as we'll try to perform a trigger run too in this case, so that we could see the result of the pipeline status in trigger execution 2. So we'll click on trigger now and click OK. We'll try to duplicate this tab so that we could go to the monitor section and see the execution of the trigger run. Let's click on the monitor tab from the data factory tab, and here we could see that the fail activity demo1 succeeded. Okay, it succeeded and it was a manual trigger. And here too we could see that the debug run succeeded. If we go to the output F3 folder and click on refresh, we could see that the file appeared here. It is copied because here it is copied here because in the activity we have defined that if this get metadata activity results, that is this output, is true, then perform the copy activity, else. And in the false case, because we have mentioned if the output from the get metadata activity is true, then perform copy activity. In false, we have not mentioned anything, right? It is blank. Now let's try to edit the location in the get metadata activity dataset. Here we'll open this dataset and we'll try to alter this file path. Okay, so we'll just mention anything random here in the file path. Okay, we are inside the test input container, but we have mentioned anything just randomly in the folder location and the file location, so that this get metadata activity will result into false. Okay, so let's try to perform a debug run here first. So since we have edited the data set, this get metadata activity result will not be true. So let's wait for the execution. So here we can see that it succeeded, and in the get metadata activity we have the exists value as false. Okay, it did not find the file at the dataset level, and in the if condition activity, since the false block is not defined, it will stop here. And let's try to perform a trigger run also for this pipeline. So the trigger run is executing. Let's go back here in the monitor tab in the pipeline runs, and here we could see that the pipeline is in progress. Let's click on refresh. It succeeded. Okay, so we could see that the status is succeeded, right? Even though the file is not present, the exists output is false, the overall pipeline status is success. Okay, the get metadata activity result is false and the file is not copied, okay, to the target folder, but the status of the overall pipeline is success. Here comes the role of fail activity. So here in the if condition false block, that is go inside the false block, and here we will add the fail activity from the general tab. The name of the fail activity is fail. Okay, we'll take fail activity in the canvas, and in the general tab we'll leave the name and description as is. We'll go to the settings tab of the fail activity, and here we could configure the fail message displayed in fail activity error body, and this is the code such as 500 categorizing error types. So if we go to the fail message, we could give the dynamic content. So let's click on add dynamic content, and in the dynamic content we could give the result, okay, which is coming from the get metadata activity. So from the activity outputs we'll take get metadata exists result, okay, whether it exists or not. So this result is coming from the get metadata activity and it would be false. Okay, we want to display this message along with the details that the file at the source location is not present. Okay, so how we can do it? We have a function. If we go to the functions, under the string functions, if we go, we have a concat function. Concat combines any number of strings together. Okay, we have to use concat, then string 1, string 2, string 3, comma separated. Okay, so right after the @ sign, we'll take concat function, open braces, then we have the get metadata activity output, which is in the form of boolean. So we'll convert this output into string also. First, let's give the error message. We want this to be concatenated as file at source is sorry. So here we'll write file at source is not present. Okay, so we'll close this, and since here we could see cannot fit boolean into the function parameter stringlet, concat function accepts only string, so we'll convert this function. So we'll convert the get metadata output to string, and in order to convert that, we have a function, conversion function string. It converts the parameter to a string. So here, right before the activity, will add the string, open braces, and the result is up to the exists. So we'll close it here. Okay. So we have converted the get metadata output exists result into string. Then we have concatenated this to add the string file at source is not present. Okay. And if we want to concatenate, let's say hyphen, we will add here hyphen and we'll take a comma after it. So it will display false hyphen file at source is not present. Okay. So this fail message looks fine. We'll copy this fail message, click OK, and we could either give a code here, okay, or we could give a dynamic content pasting the same error message. And along with the message, let's say I want to give any random code, okay, file absent 001 something, okay. So we'll click OK. So the setting of the fail message and error code in the fail activity is done. Now we'll go to the pipeline here and we'll try to validate. Okay, so pipeline is validated, and here we could see that in the if condition, in the true block we have copy, and in the false block we have fail activity. Now let's try to perform a debug run. Click on debug. We'll wait for the execution. So here we could see that the get metadata activity results into exists false. Then if condition, it failed, saying that the inner activity failed. Okay. And in the inner activity, we could go and check the error message. So in the error details of the fail activity, the error code is displayed as false hyphen file at source is not present, file absent 001. This is the code. Okay. Then failure type is given, user configuration issue, details. The details have the fail message and the error code has the code which we have given. Absent 001 we added, and then here we gave false, that is the result coming from the get metadata activity, and then we gave hyphen and file at source is not present. Okay, let's now try to perform a trigger run and see the status in the monitor tab for this pipeline. So since we have to perform a trigger run, we have to publish the changes so that the fail activity change which we have performed just now will reflect in the trigger run. So let's click on publish the changes. Let's click on publish. Publishing is happening. Publishing completed. Let's close it. And now click on trigger now. From add trigger, click on trigger now. Click OK. And we'll go to the monitor section and click on refresh. We could see the pipeline fail activity demo 1 is in progress. Let's wait for its completion. And this time the status of the pipeline execution should not be succeeded. It should be failed with the error message. Let's wait. Click on refresh. Yeah. So this pipeline failed. And if we click on the error message, it has given us the error message as false file at source is not present. The error message which we configured in the fail activity in the false block of the if condition activity, right? If we open the pipeline, entire pipeline, okay, here we could see the status of each activity, right? If we open here, the message and the error code is displayed, and in the error the same thing, okay, code along with the message details, right? So this is how we can configure our pipeline to fail using fail activity if we have a scenario like this. Okay, if the result is not coming as expected, if the file is not present at the source location, for example in this scenario, we want to fail the pipeline. Okay, so earlier it was succeeding because in the false block we have not mentioned anything. What we did is, if the file was not present, we configured the fail activity to just fail the entire pipeline. Earlier this pipeline was not failing because we have not configured any failure mechanism in the false block, and upon adding fail activity in the false block, it made the overall pipeline to fail with the error message and error code which we have configured. Okay, so this is how we can make use of the fail activity to fail the pipeline intentionally. We can further enhance this fail activity by adding here a web activity configured with the logic app to send failure email also. Okay, so that's how we could play around with the activities in ADF. I hope you've understood how we can use fail activity by one of the examples shared here in this video. Do let me know in comments if you have any queries. Thank you for watching the video. Happy learning. Bye.